The first rays of dawn pierce through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Al-Suwaidi villa, casting long shadows across marble floors that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Maha Al-Suwaidi stands motionless on her private balcony, silk abaya flowing in the morning breeze like liquid midnight. Below her, an infinity pool mirrors Dubai's awakening skyline, towers of glass and steel rising from desert sand like modern-day miracles. The Burj Khalifa pierces the horizon, a needle threading sky to earth, while the city's arteries pulse with early morning traffic carrying dreams and ambitions through veins of concrete and gold. Her phone buzzes against the marble railing. The sound cuts through morning silence like a blade, sharp, inevitable, controlling. Saeed's daily schedule appears on the screen, each minute of her existence mapped out with businesslike precision. 7 a.m. personal trainer with focus on posture for tonight's photography. 9:30 skincare appointment with Dr. Amora. 11 a.m. charity committee meeting wearing the navy Valentino. Remember to smile for cameras. 1 p.m. lunch with Mrs. Al-Maktoum to discuss cultural foundation while avoiding political topics. The list continues, each entry a small death of spontaneity. Maha's fingers trace the phone's edge, and for a moment, just a moment, she imagines hurling it over the balcony, watching it shatter against the pristine poolside tiles 40 feet below. The fantasy lasts exactly 3 seconds before reality reasserts its grip. She has learned, through 8 years of careful conditioning, that rebellion exists only in imagination. The Al-Suwaidi mansion sprawls across Barsha like a monument to excess, 45,000 square feet of architectural perfection that magazines photograph and society wives envy. Italian marble flows through corridors wide enough for horse carriages, while gold fixtures catch morning light and scatter it like captured stars. Every room tells a story of success. Persian rugs worth more than luxury cars, artwork selected by consultants rather than passion, furniture positioned for photographs rather than comfort. Security cameras monitor every entrance, their red lights blinking like electronic eyes that never sleep, never blink, never stop watching. This golden palace, this temple to wealth and status, will become a crime scene within 6 months. But on this February morning, it simply feels like the most beautiful prison ever constructed. Maha's life operates with the precision of Swiss clockwork, each gear turning in predetermined patterns that serve Saeed's empire. At 31, she has perfected the art of existing without living, of breathing without feeling, of smiling without meaning. Born Maha bint Ahmed al-Rashid, daughter of Dubai's banking aristocracy, she once believed life held infinite possibilities. University years studying fine arts at the American University of Sharjah had filled her with dreams of galleries and creative expression, of touching lives through beauty and meaning. Those dreams now feel like stories from someone else's childhood. Her transformation into Mrs. Saeed Al-Suwaidi began 8 years ago with a marriage arrangement that merged 2 shipping dynasties. Love will grow, her mother had promised while adjusting the weight of gold jewelry that would mark Maha's new status. Love never grew. Instead, she became the most exquisite ornament in Saeed's collection, polished, displayed, and carefully preserved behind glass. Hidden in her private bathroom, behind bottles of French perfume worth thousands of dirhams, Maha keeps a small leather sketchbook, the only remnant of who she used to be. Its pages contain pencil drawings made in stolen moments, landscapes of places she'll never visit freely, faces of people she'll never meet without approval, abstract shapes that represent emotions she's not allowed to express. She draws during Saeed's endless business calls that stretch past midnight, her hand moving across paper like a bird remembering flight. 8 years of control have carved themselves into her body like erosion reshaping stone. She touches her throat when nervous, an unconscious acknowledgement of her silenced voice. Her hands tremble when making any choice without Saeed's approval, even something as simple as selecting tea over coffee. Every spontaneous thought must pass through internal filters, every word weighed against potential consequences. At night, alone in their king-sized bed while Saeed works in his mahogany-paneled study, Maha stares at the ceiling and constructs parallel lives. In these imagined worlds, she teaches art to children whose eyes light up with discovery. She travels to small villages where nobody knows her name or family connections. She has conversations that matter, relationships built on choice rather than arrangement, moments that belong entirely to her. These dreams feel more impossible than touching the moon, more dangerous than walking through fire. The irony isn't lost on her. Surrounded by luxury that others would kill for, yet starving for the simplest human freedoms. Every designer dress is a costume, every social smile a mask, every day a performance in a play she never auditioned for. She is both the star and the prisoner of her own life, trapped behind golden bars that the world sees as blessing. As February sunlight floods the villa, Maha takes one last look at Dubai's skyline. A city built on dreams and ambition, where anything seems possible. In 6 months, blood will stain these marble floors and headlines will scream across international news. But this morning, she simply feels the weight of another day in paradise that feels like purgatory. Another 24 hours of perfect emptiness in a life that looks like everything and feels like nothing. The golden prison awaits its final act. The call arrives like a crack in perfect porcelain, splitting the carefully orchestrated silence of Maha's afternoon. She lies on the massage table at the Amani spa, eucalyptus oil warming her skin while skilled hands work tension from muscles that carry 8 years of suppressed screams. The therapist's fingers pause as Maha's phone vibrates against the marble surface, Saeed's name illuminating the screen like a command that cannot be ignored. Uncle Rashid died in his sleep. Saeed's voice carries across the line with the emotional weight of a shipping manifest, facts delivered without feeling. Rami flies in tomorrow for funeral arrangements. He'll stay in the guest wing temporarily while handling family business matters. The name hits Maha like desert wind carrying forgotten scents. Rami Al-Suwaidi, 39 years old and everything his elder brother despises. The artistic younger son who shattered family expectations 10 years ago by divorcing his arranged marriage and fleeing to Austin, Texas, where he now curates art galleries and lives the bohemian existence that horrifies traditional Dubai society. While Saeed built shipping empires from marble offices, Rami chose paint-stained studios and freedom over fortune. Memories flood back unbidden, family gatherings where Rami would seek her out in corners, asking about her sketches while other relatives discussed business mergers. He possessed that rare gift of seeing people rather than their social value, listening to her opinions as if they mattered, treating her like a human being instead of expensive decoration. In those stolen conversations, Maha had glimpsed who she might have become in a different life. Keep interactions minimal, Saeed continues, his tone sharpening. Rami disturbs household rhythms with his American ideas. The funeral requires dignity, not his artistic nonsense. The next afternoon, Dubai International Airport pulses with its usual chaos of dreams and departures. Maha waits in the Bentley's air-conditioned sanctuary, watching travelers emerge from customs like actors stepping onto a stage. When Rami appears, she barely recognizes the man who once sat beside her at stilted family dinners. Tex's sun has bronzed his skin, and he moves with an ease that speaks of life lived on his own terms. Instead of designer luggage, he carries a worn leather satchel that looks like it holds stories rather than status symbols. His jeans would horrify Saeed, faded denim that belongs in coffee shops rather than corporate boardrooms. Their eyes meet through tinted glass, and something electric passes between them. Recognition deeper than memory, possibility more dangerous than hope. In that instant, Maha feels herself remembered by someone who knew her before she learned to disappear. The car ride unfolds in careful conversation, but underneath polite words runs a current of understanding. Rami speaks of Austin's art scene, of gallery openings where nobody discusses shipping routes or social standing. His voice carries the freedom she lost years ago, and she finds herself leaning forward despite herself, drinking in descriptions of a world where authenticity trumps approval. That evening's dinner becomes theater performed for an audience of one. Saeed orchestrates conversation like a conductor directing an unwilling orchestra, dominating discussion with talk of port expansions and trade agreements while Maha serves traditional foods with practiced grace. But Rami disrupts the carefully scripted evening with direct questions that slice through pretense like knives through silk. What are you reading these days, Maha? Still painting? Do you miss the art classes we used to discuss? Each question lands like a small revolution. Saeed intervenes swiftly, his voice carrying subtle warning. Maha's quite busy with charity commitments. No time for hobbies. But across the table, Rami's eyes hold hers with steady understanding, and she sees he recognizes the subtext, that her dreams have been buried alive beneath layers of social expectation. After Saeed retreats to his study for international calls that stretch past midnight, Rami finds Maha on the terrace where Dubai's skyline spreads below them like scattered diamonds. The city pulses with ambition and possibility, yet she feels more trapped than ever in her golden tower. "You look tired," he says simply, and the observation hits harder than any elaborate compliment. It's the first time in years anyone has noticed her exhaustion, the bone-deep weariness of living someone else's life. "I forgot you existed under all that perfection," Rami tells her, and the words crack something inside her chest that has been carefully sealed for 8 years. For the first time since her wedding day, someone acknowledges that beneath the designer clothes and practice smiles lives a real person with real dreams slowly suffocating in silk and gold. What begins as funeral arrangements stretches into weeks, then months. Rami claims his cataloging Uncle Rashid's extensive art collection, pieces worth millions that require expert evaluation. Saeed tolerates this extension because family property demands proper handling, and Rami's expertise, however distasteful his lifestyle, serves the family's financial interests. These extended weeks become Maha's salvation and her doom. Under cover of estate business, she guides Rami through Dubai's hidden art scene, small galleries in Al-Faradi's narrow lanes where creativity blooms away from corporate surveillance. In a coffee shop Saeed would never approve of, surrounded by local artists and dreamers, Rami asks the question that changes everything. "Are you happy?" The words hit like physical blows. Maha's carefully maintained composure cracks, 8 years of perfect performance crumbling in an instant. "I don't remember what happy feels like," she confesses, and the admission hangs between them like a bridge neither can uncross. Late-night conversations on the villa's rooftop become their sanctuary, a secret world where truth replaces performance. While Saeed sleeps, they talk until dawn about dreams deferred and lives unlived, about the weight of family expectations pressing down like deserts and slowly burying everything beautiful beneath. Love transforms people the way desert rain transforms sand. Suddenly, completely, and with consequences that ripple far beyond the initial impact. By May, 3 months of secret passion have rewritten Maha's very DNA, replacing the carefully programmed wife with someone dangerously authentic. She hums while arranging jasmine flowers in crystal vases, her voice carrying melodies that seem to emerge from some newly awakened part of her soul. The listless woman who once moved through their mansion like a beautiful ghost has been replaced by someone vibrant and terrifyingly alive. Her clothing choices shift from safe neutrals to colors that sing, emerald greens that match her newfound hope, sapphire blues that reflect depths Saeed never knew existed beneath her surface. She walks differently now, shoulders back and chin raised, as if she's remembered something fundamental about her own worth. The transformation is so complete that even their household staff begin to whisper among themselves about the mistress's sudden lightness, the way laughter now spills from her lips at unexpected moments. But it's the small rebellions that truly alarm Saeed. Maha begins suggesting restaurants he hasn't pre-approved, her voice carrying a confidence that makes his jaw tighten imperceptibly. She purchases books without consulting his reading list, volumes of poetry and art criticism that appear on coffee tables like silent declarations of independence. Her showers stretch longer, accompanied by claims of elaborate new skincare routines that require imported oils and extended meditation periods. Most dangerous of all, she starts expressing opinions during business dinners. When the Korean shipping magnate's wife mentions contemporary art, Maha's eyes light up with genuine interest. "Have you seen the new exhibition at Salsali Private Museum?" she asks, leaning forward with animation that Saeed hasn't witnessed in years. The way they're blending traditional Arabic calligraphy with modern abstract techniques is absolutely revolutionary. The Korean woman smiles, delighted to find intellectual engagement in what usually amounts to polite small talk about weather and children. But Saeed sees something far more sinister, his perfectly controlled wife revealing thoughts he didn't plant, opinions he didn't approve, enthusiasm for subjects that serve no purpose in his carefully constructed world. By late May, Maha's confidence reaches levels that border on reckless. She suggests redecorating the villa's formal sitting room, replacing the sterile perfection with something more personally meaningful. She mentions taking art classes again, speaking of creative expression as if it were a basic human need rather than an indulgent hobby. Most audaciously, she proposes hosting cultural salons instead of business networking events, bringing together artists and intellectuals rather than shipping executives and government officials. Each suggestion lands on Saeed's ears like a small explosion, destroying his assumptions about the woman he thought he had successfully molded. The wife he spent 8 years crafting is disintegrating before his eyes, replaced by someone he doesn't recognize and cannot control. Saeed Al-Suwaidi didn't build a shipping empire worth hundreds of millions by ignoring warning signs. The same instincts that detect favorable wind patterns in global markets now focus laser-sharp attention on his own household, and the calculations are deeply disturbing. Without appearing to investigate, he begins treating his marriage like a hostile corporate takeover, gathering intelligence with the methodical precision that made him legendary in Dubai's business circles. Credit card statements reveal art supply purchases from shops in areas he's never approved for her visits. Their driver's logs show trips to galleries in Al-Faradi's cultural district, excursions that don't appear on any social calendar he's reviewed. The pattern becomes undeniable when he correlates these behavioral changes with his brother's presence. Every spike in Maha's vitality corresponds exactly with Rami's return from Austin business trips. Phone records tell an even more damaging story. Text messages and calls increase dramatically during hours when Rami claims to be cataloging Uncle Rashid's art collection in storage facilities across the city. The timing is too precise to be coincidental, too regular to be innocent. Saeed's business mind processes the data like market analysis, each piece of evidence building toward an inevitable conclusion that makes his blood run cold with fury. He recruits their Filipino housekeeper through casual questioning disguised as concern for household efficiency. Which rooms require extra cleaning lately? Have any personal belongings appeared in unexpected places? What sounds emerge from the guest wing during his extended business calls? The woman's nervous answers paint a picture of violation that goes beyond simple adultery. They've contaminated his sanctuary, his carefully ordered world. By early June, Saeed possesses businessman's certainty about his wife's betrayal. The only remaining questions involve scope and response, how deeply the cancer of infidelity has spread through his reputation, and what methods will prove most effective in excising it completely. The discovery that seals their fate arrives during his routine bedroom inspection on June 15th. Beneath the bed skirt, his fingers encounter cold metal, a custom cufflink he recognizes with the shock of discovering poison in his drinking water. Gold from the Sauk, engraved with RA in flowing Arabic script, part of a set he'd commissioned for Rami's wedding 10 years ago. Only 2 pairs exist in the world, and his brother never removes them except in moments of absolute intimacy. The violation cuts deeper than simple adultery. They've desecrated his marriage bed, the most sacred space in his controlled universe. As Saeed sits on silk sheets that suddenly feel contaminated, turning the cufflink over like evidence in a criminal trial, something crystallizes in his chest. Not the hot anger of passion, but the cold fury of strategic planning. Some betrayals require responses proportional to their magnitude. Traditional problems demand traditional solutions, and family honor, once stained, can only be cleansed through blood. The Al-Suwaidi dining hall transforms into a stage for the final performance, its marble walls bearing silent witness to what will become Dubai's most infamous family tragedy. Saeed orchestrates every detail with the precision of a man conducting his masterpiece. Traditional Emirati dishes arranged like offerings to forgotten gods, expensive Bordeaux breathing in crystal decanters, frankincense burning in silver censers that fill the air with the scent of ancient rituals. The room glows with warm amber light, creating an atmosphere of intimacy that feels both sacred and sinister. Maha enters wearing the emerald dress Saeed personally selected from her wardrobe, the silk flowing around her like liquid hope. She believes this dinner represents genuine reconciliation, a breakthrough in the emotional wasteland their marriage has become. Her eyes shine with cautious optimism as she takes in the elaborate preparations. Perhaps Saeed has finally recognized what has been destroying. Perhaps love can resurrect itself from the ashes of control. Rami appears at precisely 8 o'clock, resplendent in the traditional white thobe Saeed requested he wear. The flowing garment transforms him from American expatriate back into Emirati son, and for a moment he looks exactly like the boy who once played in this very room. He interprets his brother's gesture as acceptance, Finally, after years of exile, Saeed is welcoming him back into the family fold. The evening begins like a scene from their childhood, when love existed between these walls instead of calculation. Saeed pours wine with generous hands, his movements graceful and practiced. He shares memories that seem pulled from happier times. Their father teaching them to sail dhows in Dubai Creek, family trips to the mountains of Fujairah where they chased goats through rocky valleys. He even raises his glass in a toast that chills the air with its prophetic irony, to family bonds that nothing can break. For 2 precious hours, Maha and Rami allow themselves to believe in miracles. They laugh at Saeed's stories, contribute their own memories, and slowly let their guard down like soldiers laying aside weapons during a ceasefire. The food tastes like forgiveness, the wine flows like liquid possibility, and for the first time in months, guilt stops gnawing at their hearts. But as evening progresses, Saeed's questions begin to carry surgical precision that cuts through their comfort like scalpels through silk. Maha, you've seemed so radiant lately. Any particular reason for this transformation? His voice carries honeyed warmth that somehow makes the words more dangerous. Rami, you should visit more often. I can see how thoroughly comfortable you've become in our home. Each question lands with weight that seems disproportionate to its surface meaning. The dining room that felt warm with reconciliation now feels like a trap slowly closing around them. Maha's hands begin to tremble as she reaches for her water glass. Rami's eyes dart between his brother's face and the doorway behind him, suddenly aware that Saeed has positioned himself between them and their only exit. At precisely 10:15, as their Filipino maid serves traditional lukemat drizzled with date syrup, Saeed reaches into his thobe pocket with theatrical precision. His fingers emerge holding something that catches the candlelight like a star falling to earth, cold metal that will shatter their last illusions of safety. Rami, I believe you lost something. The cufflink lands on the marble table between them with a sound like a gavel striking wood. Custom-made gold from the Sauk, engraved with RA in flowing Arabic script, part of a wedding set that represents everything sacred about family bonds. The small piece of jewelry sits there like a confession written in precious metal, undeniable evidence of the most intimate betrayal. Maha sees the cufflink and her world collapses inward like a dying star. Every drop of blood drains from her face, leaving her skin the color of desert bone. Her hand trembles so violently reaching for her water glass that crystal chimes against crystal, creating a sound like wind chimes in a graveyard. 8 years of perfect performance dissolve in a single moment of pure terror. Where did you find that? Rami's voice remains steady through sheer force of will, but his body betrays him. His eyes calculate distances and possibilities, the staircase behind Saeed, the terrace doors across the room, the windows that offer only a 40-foot drop to marble poolside. Every escape route leads through his brother, and Saeed's position is no accident. I found it in my bedroom, Saeed says, his voice carrying the coldness of desert wind that strips flesh from bone. In my bed. The bed I share with my wife. Perhaps you can explain how your most personal possession came to rest in my most sacred space. The silence that follows feels like the pause between lightning and thunder, charged with electricity and pregnant with destruction. It stretches until Maha's composure finally cracks completely, releasing 8 years of suppressed truth in a flood of desperate words. Saeed, I can explain. But he cuts her off with a gesture that manages to be both gentle and terrifying, the movement of a man who has already passed judgment and begun implementing sentence. His voice carries the finality of desert storms that reshape entire landscapes. Habibti, there's nothing to explain. I understand completely. You both made your choices tonight. Now I'll make mine. The moment Rami recognizes murder in his brother's eyes, survival instincts honed by years of independence explode into action. He lunges forward with desperate strength, his hands finding the edge of the marble dining table and overturning it in a cascade of destruction that sounds like the world ending. Crystal wine glasses shatter against marble floors like fallen stars. Antique china crashes in symphonies of breaking porcelain. An expensive Bordeaux spreads across white Egyptian cotton like arterial blood painting prophesies of what's to come. Run! The word tears from his throat like a battle cry as he grabs Maha's trembling hand, pulling her toward the terrace doors that lead to the courtyard below. Behind them, Saeed moves with businessman's efficiency, reaching beneath his chair where the Glock waited like a patient predator. The weapon emerges into candlelight, legally purchased for home defense 3 years ago, now transformed into the instrument of fratricide. The first gunshot explodes through the villa like thunder splitting heaven, the sound so loud it seems to crack the very foundations of their golden palace. The bullet catches Rami in his left shoulder as he tries to shield Maha with his body, spinning him toward the outdoor staircase in a grotesque dance of violence and sacrifice. Blood spreads across his pristine white thobe like ink blooming through paper, dark stains that tell the story of love's ultimate price. They stumble down the curved staircase toward the courtyard fountain where Saeed and Rami had played as children, racing toy boats and sharing dreams of futures that would never come to pass. The water feature their father installed decades ago, carved from Carrara marble and designed to bring peace to their family sanctuary, now becomes the stage for ultimate betrayal. Rami collapses beside the fountain, his knees striking marble with sounds like breaking bones. Blood from his wound mingles with the clear water that once reflected innocent laughter, creating crimson spirals that spread like liquid sorrow through the pool. Above them, stars witness the destruction of bonds that should have been unbreakable, while Dubai's distant skyline glitters with indifferent beauty. Please, Rami gasps, looking up at his brother with eyes that already hold the shadow of approaching death. His voice carries the weight of 39 years of brotherhood, of shared memories and blood ties that should have meant everything. She never meant to hurt you, Saeed. This madness is between us. Let her go. Let her live. But Saeed's face has transformed into something carved from desert stone, beautiful, implacable, and completely without mercy. 8 years of building his perfect world have taught him that problems must be eliminated with surgical precision, that sentiment is weakness that successful men cannot afford. His business training takes control, eliminating emotion from what he sees as simply another necessary task. The second gunshot shatters the night with finality that echoes off villa walls like the voice of judgment itself. The bullet enters Rami's chest with mathematical precision, finding his heart and stopping it instantly. He dies looking at stars above Dubai, his final breath escaping like a prayer into the desert night that surrounds their golden prison. The brother who chose freedom over security, love over obligation, art over empire, pays the ultimate price for believing that authenticity could triumph over tradition. Maha's scream pierces the darkness, a sound of pure animal grief that speaks to losses too deep for words. She tries to flee back into the villa, her emerald silk dress flowing behind her like liquid hope being extinguished, but Saeed moves with predator's patience. He catches her in the dining hall among scattered china and spilled wine, surrounded by the remnants of what was supposed to be their reconciliation dinner. The ceremonial dagger emerges from his grandfather's collection, its blade sharp as family honor, cold as desert tradition, weighted with generations of Al-Suwaidi pride. The weapon has waited decades for this moment, when ancient codes would demand ancient solutions to modern problems. You made me do this, Saeed whispers as the blade finds its mark between her ribs, sliding between bone with surgeon's precision. His voice carries no anger now, only the terrible sadness of a man destroying everything he once claimed to love. 5 months I gave you to remember your duties. 5 months of watching you choose him over everything I built for us. Maha's life ebbs away slowly, her artistic hands reaching toward sketches that will never be drawn, toward dreams that will never be realized. She dies surrounded by the remnants of their last dinner, overturned furniture, broken crystal, wine soaking into Persian rugs worth more than most people's homes. Her blood mingles with spilled Bordeaux on marble floors, creating abstract patterns that would have fascinated the artist she never got to become. When police arrive at 10:52 p.m., alerted by neighbors who heard gunshots echoing through Barsha's exclusive silence, they find Saeed sitting calmly in his leather chair. His Misbah prayer beads click softly between fingers stained with his family's blood, the rhythm steady and hypnotic like a meditation on the price of honor. They were already gone, he tells the arriving officers, his voice carrying no more emotion than a financial report delivered to shareholders. I just made it official. The trial that follows becomes Dubai's most sensational legal spectacle in decades. Saeed's defense team argues cultural honor codes and temporary insanity, while prosecutors present evidence of methodical planning that transforms passion into premeditation. After 10 weeks of testimony that captivates the Emirates, the verdict arrives with biblical finality: life imprisonment without possibility of parole. The shipping empire crumbles, the family name becomes synonymous with murder rather than maritime success, and Saeed disappears into a prison cell where he will count prayer beads until death claims him. The Al-Suwaidi villa sits empty now, its value destroyed by infamy. Real estate agents whisper that it's cursed, that future owners report hearing voices in the courtyard where brotherhood died, seeing shadows in the dining hall where love was murdered. In luxury homes throughout Dubai, wives look at their husbands and wonder what price they might pay for seeking happiness beyond their gilded cages. The Golden Prison stands as monument to the eternal war between tradition and desire, control and freedom, love and possession. A reminder that sometimes being dead inside is just preparation for being dead outside.